We don't know how it would have affected Brett Thorson because he never punted.
The guy's like, I got the worst job. I got the worst deal of all these Aussie kickers. They're like, hey, mate, we had 5 punts today. He's like, 8 you guys.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I review Georgia's 37-20 win over Vanderbilt. We talk about our experiences on Saturday and what stood out to us during the game. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at OxiaTime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John. So I got a text from my sister, like right after the opening drive, that she said that we got to open the podcast the same way just as we predicted.
Just as we predicted. Yeah.
But other than that, how was your weekend?
It was good. Wife's birthday. I actually ended up getting a free pass all day to watch football on Saturday because she went and did stuff with her friend over in Avalon pretty much all day. And the kids were with me. They were playing and having fun. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch football.
Got it.
Get into the barrel proof too.
No barrel proof, but that's similar to me because I had mentioned Ella was in Little Shop of Horrors. She was acting in it. Lily was running the sound for the show. And so Kim went to see it on Saturday, but there were also 2 showings of it Saturday. So they were gone like all day. So I sat at home. And then after when the Georgia game ended, I was like, I'm sitting there by myself. And I was like, why didn't I see if anyone wanted to come over and hang out? So I texted a buddy.
You're just hanging out with that epic setup all by yourself.
I know. I was like, I was probably in one of those moods where people didn't really want to be around me because I was stressing out about our game. Not like stressing like I thought we were going to lose, but
what the heck is going on?
Yeah, you know how one can get. But so then my buddy came over and we sat and watched Oregon and Washington and just watched the late afternoon games. So it was a good day. Good day of football.
It was a good day. The weather started to turn. We kind of got to the point today where we were like, do we want to start a fire? It's not quite cold enough yet.
It was definitely cold enough here last night. I did finish the day out with a fire on the porch. So I lit a fire at the end of Oregon, Washington, and then had that going. It actually, the swirling winds made their way to Concord, North Carolina. So it ended up getting too windy and cold, so it came inside and had to shut it all down.
Dude, that's definitely a topic of conversation, is the swirling winds for the Vanderbilt game, because you definitely saw the swirling winds had an impact. Matter of fact, I think at some point you and I were talking about this before we started recording, but I missed part of the fourth quarter because I had to go take my daughter to work, hashtag teenager problems. But I remember Scott Howard saying on the radio that he wasn't sure what was going on with the wind because the American flag that was on display in the stadium, they had they had the scoreboard, and then just to the side of the scoreboard was the American flag, which number one I thought was kind of strange, but yeah, it is what it is. But the American flag was gone. And so I guess, I don't know if it blew down or what, but he said that was his, that was his bearing for how bad the wind was, because it was whipping around all day. And then I guess that he didn't have that anymore. So he was like, I'm not really sure what's going on with the wind.
Yeah. I mean, I would say there were 2 things that we undervalued in their preview, John. One was the swirling winds. And then 2 was the construction. I feel like we didn't talk enough about the construction. That was absolutely insane. And I mean, you could see the wind because the scoreboard was blowing in the wind because it was hanging from a crane or something.
Yeah. I took a picture of it and sent it to my brother-in-law who works in construction. I was like, the cranes, because the way that those guys in the construction business, they operate, they look at those things because they're they're like thousands of dollars per day. Now those are not quite as big as like the big daddy cranes, but like they're still cranes.
Yeah, the whole thing was crazy. I was getting texts. Our friend Kelly was at the game with her husband and sister and some friends, and she texted me pictures of the construction and everything. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. The tweet went viral like ahead of the. I don't know if viral is right, but I saw someone posted like it's going to be weird tailgating next to our locker room because the Georgia locker room was like in the parking lot in a tent.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely crazy.
Yeah,
Like, what
so
is going on?
yeah, it was. I guess it just kind of leads me to like I feel like we joke about like kick these guys out of the SEC and stuff like they're not serious like they are just not a serious organization when it comes to football.
Well, maybe they're trying to catch up to being serious because apparently, like, what they're adding to their stadium is going to be a good thing in the long run. Although, what SEC team, what respectable SEC team, like, makes adjustments to their stadium and reduces the capacity?
Right,
Yeah,
and has it where you can't like that you have all this going on in the middle of the game. I mean,
yeah,
the cameramen are wearing hard hats.
yeah.
Like, like I felt like, and I don't know how much of it was that we got the noon broadcast on CBS versus like the cameramen were on again, like on cranes and like in hard hats. Cause like it felt very like Jefferson Pilot ish on TV. Like the camera angles were off, like guys would be running with the ball and the camera wouldn't quite follow him. But I like in the cameraman's defense, like he probably like thought he was going to maybe fall at any moment and is wearing a hard hat and a construction vest.
Right.
So I'll give him a pass for like that. And like, you know, the grass turf, right? Like that was a factor, or the non-grass, the artificial turf. Sorry. Like everyone was slipping around, slipping and sliding like crazy. Like, I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, I texted the thread about that. I was like, why is everybody slipping and sliding? Like, I feel like that. I don't know, man. I have, it's interesting that we say that, but we had conversations with when Carter was playing soccer, at the high levels or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
they would actually talk to the players about what cleats to wear. Like, there's turf cleats and then there's cleats, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
I don't know which would have been better in that situation, but like I don't know. Maybe it's the construction. I don't know, man. But there is definitely an inordinate amount of folks that were slipping and sliding all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Construction, weird, no grass. But yeah, I imagine the construction and like the stadium basically kind of sort of being open ended right now on both ends because of the construction. I'm sure made the wind even worse, you
Right.
know. Because I know like Kirby said post game, like we basically decided not to attempt field goals in that one end zone where it was so bad. Which is the direction where I think that they missed one short that wasn't even a super long field goal, but the wind was so crazy, the field goal was short. That was kind of nuts.
Interesting. I didn't hear that.
Um,
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear him say that because
yeah,
it was a pretty big payday.
it was. Yeah, it didn't affect payday. I mean, yeah, he was, dude. He was money.
Yeah.
He was awesome. We don't know how it would have affected Brett Thorson because he ever punted.
You guys, like, I got the worst job. I got the worst deal of all these Aussie kickers. They're like, hey, mate, we had 5 punts today. He's like, 8, you guys.
Oh man, yeah, like their guy, their Aussie punter definitely was affected by it. So because he did not live up to his billing. But again, I'll give him a pass with the swirling wins
Carson Beck hates Australians.
for sure, obviously. Well, I don't know. How do you want to? I mean, I guess the number one thing of the game is Brock Bowers went down. I mean,
Yeah.
how long will he be out? You know, did your heart sink? I mean, my heart like sank when he pounded his hand on the turf. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, here's I feel like what happened is that he tried, I mean, maybe he was mad at himself for trying to do too much. I don't know. Like maybe he was just mad because he felt something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever hurt your ankle like that, but like there's a couple of different things that have happened to me because I have us Powells have notoriously weak ankles. I know the Wood Clan struggles with the turf toe,
Yes.
um, but we Powells
Uh,
have weak ankles.
okay.
I don't know what it is. Me, Carter, Carly, my wife. So far, Caroline and Camden haven't had to do anything, but every one of us has had problems with ankles. But anyway, there's a couple of things that have happened to me in the past. So one, I rolled my ankle to a point where like it popped,
Hmm.
and I tore some ligaments in it and had to like basically keep it stabilized for 3-4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And then even after that, it's it's happened to me again where that popping noise has happened, but like I didn't require. I don't know what it was. So like it could be a number of things. Maybe it's just something that he re-aggravated,
Yeah.
and he thought because I that was something that I thought one of the times that I hurt my ankle was that I was just, oh man, this is gonna be another 6 months out, like can't walk, do anything or whatever, have to do PT, all that crap.
Yeah.
But it ended up being fine. So I hope for Mr. Bowers for Brocktoberfest celebrators that
Yeah.
it's not a huge deal. And judging by the way that he was walking when he left, and the fact that if you saw the picture where he had a crutch and he had that like what I would say is like not the air cast, the mini boot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that that's more so to keep it just stabilized. So that seems like it would be on the it seems like it would be on the realm of the not as bad as it probably could have been, which, you know, either way, like that's going to be one of those things because once you hurt your ankle and if you hurt it bad, like
Yeah.
that's an injury that is going to make it much easier for it to happen again because it happens a lot for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, I remember the last time you injured it, I think was like after we'd started the podcast and you guys were about to go out on vacation. And we
Yep.
weren't sure if you're going to be able to go. I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember you sent
dude.
me a picture because it was quite swollen.
Yeah, it was super swollen. I don't know what it was, but it ended up not being that bad because I was walking around,
Yeah.
without any problem within a week or so. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I took it easy for a couple of days, but like I wouldn't have been running like within a week. So like the week off, but then within 2 weeks, I was kind of back to normal. So like I'm hoping for him if it was like me, where you think something happened, because in that situation, like I heard a pop and it
Yeah.
was an audible like, but it ended up being fine. Now in the past, I heard it popped and it wasn't like a pop; it sounded like a gunshot went off when your ligament snapped down there. Um,
Right.
no, hopefully he didn't hear that because that was a much more serious situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess now we wait the MRI. I know they said the x-rays were negative, so we'll await the MRI results and then we'll go from there.
I
But
mean, it's at this point, like, do we get like a group package on the tightrope surgery or whatever?
I was asking around. I was like, what? So first off, the way Kirby said it going into halftime, he was like, it's his ankle on the bottom of his foot. I was like, I don't think
he
the
sprained
ankle's
his
on.
he sprained the bottom of his foot or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure that your ankle isn't on the bottom of your foot. I don't know. Not, I don't, I'm not a doctor, but that's my understanding.
I mean,
Uh,
it didn't look menacing, if that makes sense. Like
it
he
didn't.
just kind of got wrapped up with the tackler, I feel like. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I agree. Nothing jumped out on the replay that where you're like, oh, that it looked bad. So,
but there's
um,
also an element of maybe he punched the ground, and this is something I thought about, was like maybe he punched the ground because he was mad because he knew that like he just wants to compete, he wants to win, and he
yeah,
wants to, be an impact player. And selfishly, I think that there's an element that maybe he wants that award. He wants the Heisman hype. And
yeah,
unfortunately, when you get hurt, it puts a damper on any hopes in that regard.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Well, I mean, to me, the next biggest story of the game was the annexation of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I mean, I meant to do something and I apologize for not doing it ahead of time, John. I want to go back and see how Scott Howard called that call. Like
Oh, nice.
When Van Pran uh I guess fumbled exchange with Beck. Van Pran picks it up and rumbles for however many yards he does. I mean, there was a spin move, there was a hurdle, kind of sort of, right when he picked up the ball. It was amazing. So
He like
love to see
palmed it.
he palmed it. It was pretty impressive. It's pretty athletic.
I
I was
wasn't quite sure, like if he like there was like a brief hesitation. I don't know if he just couldn't see the ball or if he was like, "Am I allowed to pick this up?" And then he's just like, "I'll pick it up."
It was 100% straight out of Little Giants. It was amazing. So
Yeah, I feel like Graham and I were on the same page. Like, was that a fumble, Rooski?
yeah. So that was crazy. But and ironically, that's kind of, I guess you could say, what got the offense going. I mean, because at that point we were down 7-0. We'd already turned the ball over once with the sack fumble. and that
It
led
was
to
a first down
what the
conversion.
it was the first down convert. It was like a 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
And then we ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. So our first touchdown to tie the game. So I don't know, kind of jump started us, I guess. Kind of maybe snapped us out of it. Definitely felt like we were sleepwalking early in the game.
Yeah, Nooners in Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. The 11 a.m. Local kick.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're in front of like 20,000 fans. I mean, it's kind of weird.
It's not, and you're dressing in the parking lot. Like you can hear people saying like, "Hey, I've got a hot dog over here for you." Like
yeah. I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those things where like maybe we're just going to be streaky here. Like it's obviously another away game. We struggled against Auburn. Yeah, I definitely think that looking ahead, Tennessee game, Jacksonville, I guess would be kind of in that away game, quote unquote, vein. But I don't know. At this point, I'm just what, we won by 2 scores. I'm good to go.
I mean, I think Kirby said it best at his press conference. He said, "I'm not going to apologize for winning on the road in the SEC."
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, you saw teams struggle.
I mean, Alabama got all they could handle from Arkansas.
Yeah, dude. Another Nick Saban like meltdown in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Where does the world coming to?
Yeah.
You saw Prime. Prime took took a big fat L on a significantly lesser team. I don't care what you say. Let's see who else.
Which led to an amazing Saturday Night Live weekend update. By the way,
oh man,
highly recommend.
Kenan Thompson, man, that guy's come a long way since Mighty Ducks. But that was a really funny skit.
It was good
with Dion, and it basically underscores how I feel.
yeah, it was good. But yeah, man, crazy things are happening around the country. And it's one of those things where like I said, like I was being crazy and being frustrated during the game and doing my fan thing, but then it's like I think we were texting even like at halftime, right? In the first half, I think we were texting with coach and we're like, Carson looks a little off. It's like, I think at halftime it was like he's like 18 of 20 or whatever.
Yeah, he was 17 of 20.
Oh man. And we're like, well, okay, yeah. But that one pass, like he missed that one pass.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like he should have been 20 for 20 because
2
of his passes, like he had guys. One was a drop.
There was the Arian drop. There was, I think the frustrating one was the one that made everyone frustrated was the deep shot. It was like 35, 40 yards to Roseme. And he continues to miss that pass down the seam when it happens early in the game. So you need to work on that. Maybe we can work on that in the bye week.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody, I gave Prime a hard time for the execution and all that stuff. Like at some point, like when you lose a 29-point lead, that's on coaching. But like people were saying like, oh yeah, the players got to execute. That's definitely a situation that's not on the coaching. It's 100% the players executing because Bobo. And if this goes out to all the Bobo haters out there, like if you are still hating on Bobo for how he runs the offense, like you seriously have got to get another day job or whatever. Because I mean, he's putting together a heck of a season, man. He's got a quarterback that's up there, for the Heisman candidacy. He's putting up yards, he's putting up points. And more importantly, like there's yards and points that have been left on the field because his quarterback and his players can't execute.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like you nitpick and then you look at the stats. It's like, oh my gosh, we had 552 yards.
Yeah.
In this game, like it's one of those things where like it didn't feel like it somehow, but and I know you like to talk about the win probability, like it was kind of like a straight line almost.
The lowest point of the game for Georgia from a win probability standpoint, 93.4%.
Okay.
This was in the first quarter, 10-22 in the first quarter. Vanderbilt was winning 7-0.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I believe that was, I don't know if that was right after the fumble or not, because I feel like that Vanderbilt scored, we came in. So it had to have been pretty close. Yeah, because the play before that, Yeah, I think that was right after. I
That
think that
makes
was
sense.
right after the Beck fumble. We still had a 93.4% win probability.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there were some really good offensive plays. Like I know we had talked about like what kind of playbook are you going to see, that kind of stuff. I will say like the touchdown pass to Dominic Lovett was pretty awesome. The way he went into motion and like stopped, actually slipped a little bit with turf again.
Yeah,
But then, was able to get back up and was just wide open. That was a great play design by Bobo. I love that. So, which
I'm sure we'll see that again at some point.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Which I mean, I think that was Lovett was the leading receiver in this game. 9 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. A lot of more lateral type stuff. We continue to kind of run those like lateral screen type things in, but he takes it and gets it upfield. So he did that, and then second leading receiver was Ladd. So which I think they seem to recall he like rested a bunch in the second half. He was out for a while. He eventually came back, but I guess with the back still bothering him a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, it's got to be something with his back, right? So not really sure what's going on there, but yeah, I need to get him up to game speed to be 100%. So
yeah, I definitely like the on the long pass to him early. I think I tweeted like McConkey got back on his donkey. Scott Howard probably. So need to hear that call too.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of these transfer guys because Lovett and Rara, like those kids look good, man. We got Dylan Bell out there. And then you got Marcus Roseby Jack Saint, which he had a big game. It's kind of like choose your own adventure on which receiver you want to have a big day.
Yeah. No, that I would agree. I mean, it is if you look at like on the season, it's actually kind of funny. So Brock obviously leading receiver, yardage wise, but it goes Brock, then Lovett, then Rah, and then but actually not right. I'm filtering wrong. No, it is Brock and then it's Rosemy. But then after that, then it is Lovett and Rah. So
I mean, I believe haven't checked after this last couple of games, but like leading up to the Kentucky game, we were looking at I was looking at some numbers, just trying to figure out like what's going on with the receiver core and like why everybody's like, oh, Georgia's all they do is throw their tight ends, which is certainly true. Like there's a lot of opportunities that are going to Brock Bowers because he's a once in a generation talent, right? But like overall, like we've thrown to 19 different receivers.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely plays out there for everyone else. It's just that you got this guy that's like a once in a generation. I mean, it's kind of like who was the backup for Herschel,
right. Yeah.
It's just not a lot of opportunities behind that.
Yeah, no, agreed. I guess the only other thing I'd call out on offense, it was I guess a couple of things, but it was good to see Kendall Milton back early until he got hurt and was out. But I know Kirby said like his MCL tightened up is what he said. So we saw he had a knee brace on the sideline. So I don't know how long, if he'll be out at all. Maybe if it was just tightening up, maybe he's fine. It was precautionary.
Was it the same knee?
Yes, it was the same knee. They said it was that his MCL tightened up, the one that he had already had injured earlier before. But when he was in there, he looked. That was the best. It was the best he had looked all season. Making guys miss, running through guys. That his touchdown run, I loved. It was a short run, but got his pads low and ran through that guy. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I was going to point out though was what we were looking at right before we hit record, which was the hustle play. I think it's a way to win your team over, as if it hadn't already happened. But you throw an interception and then you hustle like Carson Beck did and just lay your body on the line and truck the linebacker who's intercepted your pass. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think that people were talking about how the guy that or one of the first interceptions that Carson Beck had as a starter or whatever. There was an interception. It was a pick six, and I guess that he was kind of lackadaisical in pursuit of the pick six. And Kirby Smart chewed him out after the pick six. I don't distinctly remember this. Do you remember this play? But like,
I know when it was. I know exactly when it was. So it was that UAB game in 2021, the game that we thought Beck was going to start. because
Right.
JT was hurt, and then Stetson started. When Carson did come into that game, eventually he threw a pick six. That's what that
Yep.
was.
And then I guess Kirby chewed him out afterwards. And then it just underscores that coaching that coaching lesson took heart to that, because he
Yeah.
pursued him down to the 1 yard line and ended up knocking out their best defender.
It was crazy, man. I mean, he
Not
laid
in any
out.
not in any dirty way, but like
No.
that's just the way the cookie crumbles when you're playing football, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you watch it, you can see. I think that guy thought he had a free run to the end zone, but you can see on the angle from the end zone, like where he sees Beck coming and kind of hesitates. He's like, "Oh my gosh,
Oh my God.
where'd this guy come from?" Oh man, yeah,
missile.
yeah. I'm not sure it was the best tackling form that Carson used, but hey, it was effective. It worked.
I would say that had he not like tried to stutter step and like get around Beck, and had he just kept going straight, I think Beck might have been in for a targeting call,
right?
Had he actually like continued his path forward.
Yeah, which would have been unfortunate. He already got a holding earlier in the game.
Beck.
Man.
Yeah, dude.
It was a weird game, dude. It was such a weird game.
So weird. It was so weird. We had a muffed punt, which, good gosh, we gotta work on the receiving game, like the punt return game, because he's made some questionable mistakes. I guess that we should say that he is the unofficial official wide receiver of My Gunna podcast, not necessarily the punt return.
That's horrible.
I mean, I need him to step it up.
Hey, it was the swirling winds, John. It was the swirling winds.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Yeah. I think I did give him that out.
You did. Oh man.
What else from this game? Oh, I'll give you another. How about we? All right. So we had fumbles.
Yeah.
We had interceptions. We had another thing that was negative, and then we'll kind of pivot it to talk about some positive things that I saw. Unless you have some other negatives, I'm happy to.
I'm out of negatives. We can keep going.
Tyke Smith looked completely lost at the beginning of the game, to the point where I think Kirby was giving him a little lecture on the sideline after some of his play, because there was one play where he got juked out of his shoes by the running back, and then I think almost on like pretty much the next play after that, he went with a receiver long, and I believe that the play call was for him to cut inside, to basically follow anybody that goes inside.
Yeah, that's what.
And he left the guy wide open, and it pretty much almost cost us a touchdown.
It was that. That was the first touchdown. Yeah, it was a touchdown. Yeah, and I think we were texting. I was like, well, somebody messed up. Like, I'm not really sure who it was, but Kirby's sideline reaction, I think, tells us that it was Tyke. So I think it was just a rough start.
Yeah, rough start
all around, everywhere.
It was a perfect underscore for the entirety of the day. It was just a slow start, but then he basically turned it on later on, because he had an interception. He had some big plays.
Yeah, he had like 3 big like he had like 2 huge tackles, and then the interception were like back to back right there late in the first half. So, and then to be able to convert that and get that, turn those into points, right before the half. And Kirby talked about that. That's another thing he talked about, was like winning the middle 8. So the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Talked about that we really controlled the middle 8 of the game and kind of turned it there. So, which, I mean, agreed. And then it felt like in the second half, it was kind of like, let's just get the game over and get out of here. I mean, we had a Kirby death march to open the third quarter, basically.
It was like an 8-minute drive or something like that.
Yeah.
Although I think that some of us were probably like taken aback by his statements, like that we can't have 14 and 15 play drives or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? Are you Kirby Smart?
Who are you? You better get out of here. Kirby Smart's going to be coming along here any minute now.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, that was kind of a weird statement coming from him. Weird. But
it was definitely weird. I'll say this: our friend, our dear friend of the podcast, Stacey Searles, had a great game on the offensive line. I felt like, because I think that like any of the woes that we had on offense, if you could say that we had any woes, were not related to the offensive line.
Yeah, they played They played well, even with Truss going down. So it was yet another ankle sprain during the game. But yeah, they look good. They look good.
He had all day to throw.
Carson he had all day to throw, and the backs had some lanes to run through. So,
Right.
I mean, hey, Dejon Edwards, game of the season for him, season high.
Yep.
The long run sprung by the good lad. He kind of did that clear out block to spring him. It was a good day for Dejon.
Yeah, it was. I thought he was going to bust a really long one because that's one of the things that I feel like one of the announcers in the previous game had mentioned. It's like, he's not going to bust a long one on you.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a home run threat. Like,
right. Yeah, come on, guys.
bang, got him.
All right, well, why don't
let's see. So those are the. Let's see what else there was. We had the payday. What was some other positive? I feel like I'm missing something on my notes. I'll come back to it.
On your positives?
On my positives, yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we? I will say take a minute to gather your thoughts, and we can just remind folks that the season 4 of My God Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. I actually tweeted out a pic, time to watch the dogs with my watch, sitting on the porch before the game. Wore it through the day. Again, kind of allows me to focus on the game a little bit. I'm not getting all my alerts on my watch unless we focus. So I really do enjoy wearing my Oxia timepiece on game day. Oxia Time is a custom Swiss watch company. They got the 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship collection. And definitely right now, head over to Classic City Collective. They've got 25 of each watch that you can purchase with a special presentation box that is signed by Kirby Smart. So head on over to classiccitycollective.com to check those out. And then also, as always, you can go to oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. So thanks to Oxia Time again for being the presenting sponsor for season 4.
Amen.
In case you still haven't thought of it, I will say one other thing this was not like anything game related, but something that was kind of cool. The eclipse that happened, and they showed that on TV from the game. That was kind of crazy. I don't know if did you see that? They had a shot. There was a solar eclipse during the game.
Huh. I didn't realize. I did not have that in my game notes.
Yeah. No. It was on the broadcast. It was pretty cool. So I was dying when it happened, laughing because I mentioned Ella and Lily were at Little Shop of Horrors, and that's how the plant arrives is during a total eclipse.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's in the plot of Little Shop of Horrors. That's when the plant arrives in the story.
That's funny. I don't remember that, but that's funny.
Yeah. So at any rate, that was kind of ironic. I laughed about that.
Oh, there it is. I feel like I remember this picture, but I guess I didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You don't see that.
It was only 14-7 because there was that period I missed the game, so I wasn't sure if it happened like during the game.
Yeah, it was pretty early. I think you would have still been around.
Yeah.
But
it appears to have been right basically at the start of the second half.
Okay. So maybe it was.
Second quarter, sorry.
Okay. I guess my other game note that I had, just with the defense, and this is not going to positive, but should we be worried about the defense? I feel like everyone has been picking on the offense and Bobo and such, but I'm not sure that's where we should focus I definitely feel like we shouldn't be focusing any negative stuff on the offense. I feel like it's been pretty good. What do you think?
Focusing the negatives on Bobo? No.
No. I'm saying people are doing that, but I feel like it's misplaced.
Yeah, for sure.
My question is, do we need to worry about the defense? Should we be worried about the Georgia defense?
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's just like my issues with the offensive line, right? So the offensive line was able to get push, and that's the consistency that I've seen. They get a good push, and they're able to get a decent pass, protection, right? Well, the flip side of that on the defense is that you got to get to the quarterback, which they eventually did. And I feel like this happened with Kentucky too. We eventually started getting to the quarterback, but by that point, the game was already in hand. What I'm looking for is getting to the quarterback earlier in the games.
Yeah.
Figuring out ways, scheme, whatever it is to get guys out there. Now, I'll say this. It feels like that the coaching staff has kind of arrived at, some dudes that I feel like that they're ready to run with. So Christian Miller, CJ Miller, I think his name is.
Yeah, Kristen Miller.
Yeah. He's I feel like he had a nice little coming out party in this game. There were some guys that were out there that I felt like that, we hadn't really seen a whole lot of. Like, was Chaz a big factor in this game?
I mean, he was out there, but I feel like we saw Marvin Jones Jr. come in a lot earlier
Right.
than we usually do. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So like that's the kind of stuff. Marvin Jones Jr. coming in, like that's those aren't names that we've heard a whole lot about. At least the snap. Maybe it's just my feeling, right? I don't know what the snap counts look like. I just feel like that we were asking those questions earlier. Like at some point, you got to let the young kids come in and play, and they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that's a contributing factor to the manufactured adversity, right? Like they're letting these kids get groomed, those kinds of things. So
yeah,
I'm serious, dude. Like it's my UGA conspiracy theory that they're trying to figure out ways to like knock these kids down.
Yeah.
Because they're coming off the back-to-back national championships. They gave them a glimpse of it last week with the complete beatdown and dismantling of Kentucky. And then all of a sudden you come back to Vanderbilt and it's like, really? Is it the same team? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feels like that things were just different enough to where they just made it a little bit more harder than it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess the luster or the anger from the 2020 game cancellation has finally worn off. I guess that's all. Clearly that was a difference.
Yeah. Their first touchdown since 2019 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 18. Like, yeah, they had made field goals, I guess, in 18 and 19. But yeah, 18 was the last touchdown. Which is crazy to think about.
Crazy.
So, but
and it had to happen on blown coverage.
Yep, blown coverage. I feel like I had some mess ups. Like, I definitely wouldn't change clothes in the first quarter. Change my hat. And then John, I think the real problem. We didn't tweet out using the official hashtag.
Because we did that during the Kentucky game, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we got to remember that.
We got to remember that. It's our fault, guys. And Jim wore a shirt that, like, what was the bad juju?
It was the hat, and my hat was bad juju. I'm never wearing that hat again. Never wearing that. No, I mean, I'll wear it again, but I'm never going to wear it during a Georgia athletic event.
A Georgia game, yeah. And I'll say that for a large portion, well, actually, it ended up being the whole game. I did my pre-run like just before kickoff, right?
Yeah,
because we had the early kick, and my wife was like, "Never seen you wear that for a Georgia game before." I was like, "Yeah, I think it'll be all right."
That's what I said with the hat. I was like, "Hey, maybe with this Vanderbilt game, I can knock the bad luck off this hat because it didn't work."
Like I've worn my shirt before during a Georgia game, but anyway, it was not my normal Georgia attire. I think I mentioned this before, but I've gone back to the original 2021 polo for game days. So,
okay. See, I'm still on the Hunter idea where I mix it up like crazy so that I don't have to try to remember to wear the same thing every time. So I don't worry about that so much anymore. But I'm definitely never wearing that hat again. I'll say that. So. I don't know if I didn't want to admit this. So the last time I wore that hat for a football game was the 2021 SEC championship game.
Nice.
So it was the last one we lost. So and so then when we went down 7-0, I was like, threw the hat down, put it away, changed hats, and made all the difference. Obviously,
that's funny.
Look, man, everything was off. Weren't good in Coach Trill's over unders either. So, it was just an off day altogether. What did I win? I went 2-6. You went 3-5. So I maintained my lead.
Brutal.
So shout out to Coach Trillbill, but we slammed the over on the construction workers spotted on TV.
Right.
So that played out like we thought it would. What else you got?
Oh, I mean, other than the construction stuff was just absolutely like crazy. But let's see what else. We talked about special teams. We talked about offense, defense. Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, we won. We had basically 100% win expectancy for the majority of the game.
Yeah,
you could maybe poke a stick at some of the we shouldn't have given up as many points. We should have had more points instead of kicking field goals, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you can complain about the offense, the defense, the special teams, Bobo, whatever. Like at the end of the day, you're arguing with a wall at this point, because it's just this team is winning, and frankly, that's all they have to do. They are now ranked third in the nation for the longest AP number one streak or something like that, right, Jim? Like 18 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it's what this team has done and the way they've been able to keep it going is pretty crazy.
I believe that John had messaged us or tweeted out something that was like, there's two other dynasties, quote unquote, that had longer winning streaks. I think 2003, 2004 or something like that. USC teams. I can't remember when exactly it was. But anyway, those Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll teams, I feel like, are the USC teams that they were in the AP number one for the longest period of time, and then after that is the Miami teams. They're at number two, and if we continue winning, over the next couple of weeks, like, we're going to overtake them, and these guys are going to be number two in the history of number one rankings.
Yeah, I found it. So you're right. Yeah, so we're tied at third all time for 18 straight AP polls. Number one. Miami was at 21 straight, so we can catch them in three more weeks. And USC was at 33 straight AP polls.
That's crazy.
One. Yeah, that is nuts. That
is crazy.
So.
And you've got all the winning streaks, the most consecutive. I think Kirby Smart has the best, like, the highest consecutive, like, road wins as well.
That's that. I think that was 13 straight SEC road wins.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the stats continue to pile up with stuff like that. So we're gonna keep the ESPN stats and info people busy on finding that kind of stuff.
We need to go back and look at some of those results that those two teams above us, and the Miami teams and the USC teams, and see if they ever had any clunkers in that stretch,
Yeah. I'm sure they did. They did. Every team usually does. So
it's hard to go undefeated. It's hard to go undefeated in college football, and to do it to that level is crazy.
Yeah. No. Agreed, man. All right. Well, before we break, do just want to remind folks to go hit the website, hit up the website, mygodapodcast.com. We've redesigned it with Working Web Media. So you can go check our site out, see the work that we did with them. We got a bunch of merch up there. Got some new hats. I know we got some new hat orders recently, by the way. So thanks to the folks that are ordering that stuff. Much appreciated. But if you like what you see, and you need some help with your website, maybe you've got a small business, maybe you need some help with your online presence, head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they'll know that we sent you their way. All right. Actually, I'll say, JP, I think I need to wrap up because the family is getting home from the awards ceremony they were at.
Oh, nice. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So Ella, I think I had mentioned, she was up for Newcomer of the Year, Metrolina Theater Association. She did not win, but that's okay. It was an honor ticket to go, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, so they've been out at that tonight.
As a youth and an adult competition, I say hats off.
Yeah, we're pretty proud. It was pretty cool. So
very cool. Well, we got some fun stuff coming up.
Fun stuff, which I guess the cat's out of the bag on the next one already because we tweeted out questions. So next episode, we'll have our buddy Chris, British Bulldog, get to catch up with him now that he's back home. So it'll be fun.
We get to have a soccer podcast. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to temper that. I'm like, hold on, guys, hold on. You go do your own podcast.
In his defense, neither one of us will probably want to talk about this season.
Okay. I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it. Awesome.
All the struggles of Man United.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just going to end with what Kirby said again. No need to apologize for winning on the road in the SEC. The winning streak continues. These are the good old days. These are the good old days. Enjoy them. And CBS games as well. That's true. It's true. Even if it is with crappy announcers. and in bad camera angles. But again, probably not their fault.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. You and I recording tomorrow. So
Sure.
if you have any questions, get them in. And until then, go dogs.
Go dogs.
Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Chicken tacos should only be trusted to chicken professionals.
That's where we come in. Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One comes with pico de gallo and creamy chipotle ranch. And the other comes with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and avocado ranch. Chicken experts since 1990. Chicken taco experts since now. Order yours today in the Zax Rewards app. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.